Today we're going to see if what's in this little package can actually improve this already incredible guitar. Let's go. What's up guys, back again in the hang space, and today I got a very special guitar to me. This is my ESP Ltd Dan Jacobs signature. It's the DJ600. Now this guitar, I believe, came out around 2006, and they only made them for about 2 years. So it was in production from 2006 to 2008. I purchased this guitar almost immediately because I had seen Dan Jacobs play these before, and I said if they ever make one of those, I'm buying it. I was at South Carolina at the time. It popped up on AMS, bought it immediately. Next day aired, got home from the drive, and it was on my door. This is actually the guitar that I've had the longest in my whole collection that actually plays. I have one that I've had longer, but it's in a little rough shape. Maybe we'll get to that video at some point eventually. But this guitar has served me well for many, many years. And they're actually kind of hard to find now. You can pick them up online. One or two will pop up occasionally. Prices wildly vary. I think I paid $1,200 for this at the time. A quick internet search, I did find one on Reverb for $2,500, which is a little crazy that these things are actually getting that much. This guitar saw a lot of stage time, a lot of rehearsals, lots of shows, but if you can believe it, it's actually stayed in pretty good shape. I mean, it has the typical little nicks in all the corners that are common for a pointy guitar. It's got one little indent on the front, and that's about it. Some quick specs on this guy. It was a mahogany body. It features a 3-piece maple neck. We got a rosewood fretboard and 22 extra jumbo frets. Now, as far as the rest of the hardware goes, this thing was pretty much decked out. It came from the factory with an EMG 81 and an EMG 85. Obviously 81 in bridge, 85 in neck. This actually does have a Floyd 1000 trem on it, which is super cool. Spertzel locking tuners. It also features the EMG afterburner, which is like this little knob here where your tone would normally be. When you pull this guy out, gives you, I believe, about 20 decibels of boost that you can control and dial in with the knob itself. Pretty cool. Never really used it, but it's cool to have. This guitar does have the 25.75 scale length on it. It features a thin U-shaped neck. Now, it calls it a U-shape, but it's pretty typical if you've played ESP guitars before. You kind of know what it feels like. I like it because it has a similar feel in my hand like my Explorer does, but it's definitely a lot thinner. It's a lot faster. It's a lot smoother neck. Going over to the back of this thing, you'll see how I did get a little crazy over the years. The whole back is completely covered in different stickers that I've been collecting forever. If you haven't picked up on it now, I'm a little bit of a sticker nut. So I pretty much just wanted to basically cover the whole entire back and all the sides until it's entirely filled up with stickers. That's kind of the goal, and I'm still working on it. I got stickers all the way up on the headstock. And of course, the trem plates are off. Like I talk about, I never keep those on. It just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to remember. I think the only mod that I actually made on this guitar are strap locks. I do use the Shaler, I believe, strap locks. So I put them on like right away. It's just a must-have. But other than that, nothing has been changed about this guitar. It's literally in the same condition almost as when I bought it. I never had to do any work to this thing. I never had to touch it. It always just worked. It's been a real workhorse for me for a long time. It's, like I said, it's one of my personal favorites of the guitars that I have. I mean, look at this killer paint job. I mean, does it get cooler than that? It looks like I just walked out of The Walking Dead or something like that. What is that? What is that? I mean, you could literally use this thing as a weapon if you wanted. It could definitely take some drunk people down that are trying to touch your gear at shows, if you know what I'm talking about, and I think that you do. So yeah, like a lot of the gear that I've been showing lately, this one's got a little bit of issues right now. We got a string wagging around here. There's definitely some dust. There's definitely some corrosion. There's a couple little things going on. This thing needs a major tear down and clean up. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to put this on my bench. We're going to rip it down. I'm going to polish the frets. I'm going to pull the pickups out just because. We'll just take a look at them and see. Pull the bridge out, clean everything up, get it restrung. And I do have a little special package here. Now, this showed up maybe about a week or so ago, and I have not opened it or touched it. I've been waiting for you guys to check out what's in this little box. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm not sure. I've never used one. We're going to find out. But we'll save that for a little bit. So now I think I'm actually, for once, going to stop talking, and we're just going to get right into the teardown of this thing so I can start showing you what's going on and get this bad boy back in action and plugged in so you can hear how this sounds. But first, as always, check this out.
Oh. Hello again. You know, I still can't thank everyone enough for watching and checking out all the silly videos that I make. It means the world to me. But the analytics show that the majority of you still watching aren't subscribed to this channel. If you'd like to help me out, and go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, turn all notifications on to make sure to catch everything that I'm trying to do here. If you'd like to take it a step further, there's a link in the bio where you can help support this channel directly and even further so I can keep bringing this kind of stuff to you. Ah, my children of the sea.
All right, so let's just jump right into it. I got my table here. I got my guitar here. I got my tools here. And to start, I'm just going to basically rip this thing completely down so we can get it cleaned up, gone over. Just double check, make sure everything looks hunky-dory, and then get into the little mod that I'm going to make to this thing. So let's go. Something a little interesting I just found. I never actually took these pickups out of here. It was the first time I've ever done it in like what, 20 some, little less than 20 years. But there's actually a chunk of wood missing. Not missing, it split off. That's kind of interesting. I think it's actually where the neck joint's coming through, because it did say it's a set through neck. So I can see where some of the neck part here is actually coming into the neck cavity. You can pick it up in here. And there's a little chunk missing. So, looks like maybe it was drilled out for some routing for something. I see a little hole right where it broke. Doesn't seem like a big deal. One, you can't notice it. Two, little super glue. I'll glue this bad boy back in. No problem. So we'll just set that to the side for now and keep moving forward. Alright, so I got this thing broken down about as much as I'm going to. One thing I actually just thought about that I didn't plan on is, since I have it down this far, I am going to just loosen up the pots and the afterburner and the switch. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to go ahead and copper shield the cavity just because I have the stuff. I'm going this far, why not? But like I said, as far as these parts coming off, this is the first time that this has been disassembled like this in forever. I mean, I never did this. It never needed it. It just worked. So yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll pull the battery out. I think I'm going to copper shield that little cavity too. I did remove the spring claw for reasons that you will see in a bit. We got the knobs out. We got the bridge out. We got the tuners out. Ultimately, like I said, this guitar is in great shape. Most of the reason why I pulled so much of it off is just because I want to really polish it and clean underneath stuff that it's kind of hard to get to. There's a little gunk around some of the nuts on the knobs, so we'll get them cleaned up. Might go ahead and just pull out the strap locks too, just because. If I'm taking it this far, why not? So once I do that, I think the first thing I'm going to get into is the actual fretboard itself. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, if you guys took notice and you know anything about this guitar, it originally had bat inlays on it. Now, I'm not really a big fan of them from when I bought the guitar. If it was my personal choice, I would have just kind of went with no markers or some very small markers, but the ingenious method that I came up with, and I get asked about this all the time in a lot of my videos when I play this guitar at shows, how did you block out those inlays? Well, that black that you see is electrical tape.
That's just great! Now where the hell are we, huh? You certifiable quit!
And that tape's been on there for a long time. I don't really plan on changing it. I think I'm just going to try to clean it up a little bit. It's not wore through. Doesn't affect the tone. So if you ever want to get rid of some inlays and just kind of add yourself some custom black markers, electrical tape works good. So, like I said, I think the first thing I'll do before I get onto that is I will get that copper shielded done. Next, I'm going to break up. I'm going to tape this out. I'm actually going to use a little small Dremel with a buffing wheel to really get a good buff on the fret wire. And then we'll move ahead and see where we get from there. So yeah. Oh, and my Misfit sticker. You can pick these up on eBay. Pretty cool, but I keep one on this guitar all the time. Second fret. This looks cool. So yeah, let's keep going. Here we can get a good look at that afterburner I was talking about. I mean, this is it. It's quite a complex little gadget. So I never really had it like this to look at, but pretty cool. We got the neck all taped up with painter's tape, very carefully. Get ready to polish these frets up. Like I said, I'm going to use a Dremel with a small little polishing wheel. So I'm also going to be using a little fret guard too, just as double assurance, because the Dremel tool, if you do use one to do something like this, be aware that if you touch the finish, if you touch fretboard, it might mark it up, especially plastic pieces. It makes a lot of heat. You definitely want to take your time and go as slowly as you can and carefully. Once I get that done, I'm going to go ahead and take some time on my own to get all the hardware polished up and cleaned up as best I can. I don't think you guys want to watch me work a toothbrush into some crevices, or maybe you do, that's for another time. But I'll get all that stuff done in the meantime so that then we can start, I think, getting this thing ready to assemble again. I got the fret dress all done. The tape's all peeled off. Looks great. They look like mirrors. I got the fretboard oiled up with some lemon oil and cleaned off. That's looking great. I did have to replace some of my fancy electrical tape that peeled off with the masking, but no big deal. That's all taken care of. So I think what I'm going to do next is go ahead, give this body a good polish and get it cleaned up. I also took the time to get all of the hardware and the parts cleaned up as best I could. I'm going to get ready to put all that back in. I got our little chunk that came out. I realized that the reason why that chunk came out was from the screws actually that run through for the trem claw on the back. They actually came through and just caught the top of that neck piece that's glued in there and chipped that off. Like I said, I never would have noticed that before. Who knows how long it's been like that. But yeah, we're gonna get this thing wiped down, cleaned up, most of the things installed back in it, and then we're gonna move on to the next step of this. All right, so we're over here, so I can break into the moment that everyone's maybe, hopefully, probably, sort of, whatever. I'm waiting for it. It's been a minute. Now, in this package is, let's just open it up. All right, and there it is. This is the Tonevise Treminator. Now, just a little disclaimer. I bought this with my own money. I'm not affiliated. So this is just a true test to see if this thing actually does what it says it's going to do. Now, inside the box, from what I understand, yeah. So cool. Oh, man, of course, another sticker. Perfect. Going into the collection. Now, basically, what we got here... Wow, check that out. It's like a little, kind of like a shock absorber, from what I understand. It's got a spring in the back here that connects. Now, this thing basically replaces your middle springs on the back in your trim. Comes with this brass new claw that gets screwed in right to the body, and then all your adjustments and everything for your bridge, they're all made with this little piece here. And like I said, it's got a spring. It's got a locking nut here, so if you're changing strings, you can actually block the bridge to stabilize it, to keep it in place. If you're changing tunings, all you got to do is rotate a little dial. You don't have to break out the screwdriver anymore. And supposedly this thing is supposed to not only add a little bit of tone, but also stabilize the bridge a lot. Kind of keeps it locked in that position no matter what. You know, sometimes if you're using the bar, it doesn't always return quite to the same spot that it was in. This is supposed to take care of that. It's supposed to stabilize bends. It's really just, like I said, it's supposed to be like a little shock absorber for your trim. Let's see what else we got here. We got all the hardware. Whoa. So I'll have to look and see exactly what some of this stuff is for. We got another little plate here, if I remember. I think this kind of goes in here where you lock your tree into, kind of like that in the guitar. We got all the Allen wrenches that we need for the assembly. That's super cool. Got a little brass thing. I don't know what that is. Some little brass posts. Some screws. Some more screws, and another little knurled threaded knob. So yeah, I mean, so far, looks super cool. This thing looks quality. I think I paid about $150 shipped for this. So it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but if it does what it says it does, I think it'll definitely be a worthwhile upgrade. So yeah, let's get back over to the bench and we'll try to start putting this thing into the guitar. So we're all set up here, getting ready to install my Tonevise Treminator. I think I called it a Terminator earlier.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
The Treminator super stabilizing system. So we got the bridge all cleaned up. This is the original bridge. I got the little piece, the actual absorber itself. And I kind of looked at the instructions. We got an extra thumb wheel in case we need it for that. Our tools. These are our screws that go into the body. We have this plate that actually goes in and locks down on your springs to keep them in place. I got my original springs. This is the backing for the little studs to screw against, which you'll see this once I'm putting it together. And they even include a nice little tab that goes onto the bridge with a screw. Now that's really nice because obviously you can't really solder to brass that well. So I'll go ahead and install that and get that soldered up. I think I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just going to go ahead and work on this. I got the camera in kind of close so you can see what I'm doing. But definitely when I'm done here, we get the strings on it, get it set back up somewhat. I'll get over at my desk and I'll explain to you exactly how this thing's working and let you hear a little bit of it. So, let's go. And that's it. As you can see, I got it pretty much all installed here. That's that block I was talking about. The two pins that rest on it, that kind of locks this into place.
This little plate here with these screws just kind of keeps the springs and everything on the claw. Have my normal springs here, this guy here, and that's great. Like I said, it's got this thumb wheel on it. Once it's has strings on it and pulled up, you can actually lock it in place. It's kind of like a built-in block. I still got to wire in my brown wire here though. I'm going to take care of that in a second. So yeah, looks awesome. Great quality. Everything installed super easy, just the way the instructions said. I have a feeling setup might be a little interesting. So I'm going to take some time to get the strings on this and work on that a little bit on my own time. Make sure I have this figured out so I can give you a good explanation on it and let you know whether this is something maybe you should think about for yourself.
One eternity later.
All right, I'm back. I got this thing all set up. Now, it was actually pretty easy to do. If you're familiar with Floyd Rose trims at all and how they work, then the setup is a little intuitive. There's just a few extra parts involved. Now, if I would have actually taken some measurements before I disassembled the guitar, it could have been a little easier. I did not read the instructions before I took everything apart, so I was kind of starting a little bit from scratch on setting this thing up. But again, it wasn't that bad. Had to swap out a few little parts I'll show you in a second, but this thing's sounding pretty good. Yeah, I mean, really noticed a difference. I mean, I'm always say that adding anything brass in there, to me, I can tell. I don't know whether it's placebo, but it seems to work. So yeah, let me give you a look at what this thing looks like in action. All right, and this is it all installed. Now, I do have the original block from the trem. I think eventually I'm going to upgrade this and upgrade these springs as well, but these are the stock parts here. And the parts that I added are this nice red shock absorber looking piece, the claw, and this brass sort of retaining thing. Now what this thing does is it sort of adds a stability piece in between your trend system. I don't know if you can look, but this barrel I have backed off just ever so slightly from the block. Now what that allows is to still flutter the trem. Now if you want, you can actually adjust this thing right up against this block, and that will make sure your bridge is always returning to the exact same place. Right now, with how close I have it, it pretty much returns mostly to the same place. And then these other thumb wheels here, if you spin this guy all the way up against this, this is effectively locking this completely out. So this will not move. So if you really want stability, you don't really need to use the trem. This is a way that you can do that. It also makes string changes just super easy. Of course, I keep it in the full float. Now I'll try to work here. And you can see if I pull down on the bar, the spring in there, it pulls out. And then if I let it go, it returns right to that same spot. Now if I go up, it actually pushes in on that and kind of dampers it. You can see it working in action there. Now this thing really shored up the feeling of this trem. Like, I notice a huge difference in how it reacts when using the bar. It just feels solid. It feels like there's more there. It feels smoother, which is super cool. And the tuning seems like a breeze. Now also, for changing tunings and different things, you can actually set this up almost similar like a D-tuner, where you won't really lose too much action. You don't have to mess with this too much. You kind of just change a little dials and then you're all set up. Now this guitar I have in D, I do play it in either D standard or drop C often, so I'll be experimenting with that. Some of the changes I did have to make were, I think I originally had the shorter thumb wheel on up here, and I had to go to the larger one just because of the way the setup is. And this claw, I did have to use the longer set screws there. And I said, basically this just sort of sets up like a regular claw, but the only difference is with these screws here, this claw completely locks in place. So this claw, instead of just being held by the spring tension holding it on, this is actually not going anywhere. It's pretty set in there. And then this little cover with these screws simply just holds down the ends of your spring caps to make sure nothing pops off. And you can see I got my wire soldered up there. It was super easy. And yeah, I mean, this thing is really cool. I'm really digging it. And plus, just as someone who likes nerdy tech stuff, it just looks cool. So now that we've taken a look at some of the back and how it works, I'll kind of show you if it'll... We still got that flutter action. It still works just like a regular trem. I mean, it's cool. It actually feels a little less wobbly. Like it feels, when you're moving it, like you're actually in control of something, compared to it sort of just being a little floppy, I guess. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it honestly feels great. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm probably going to end up buying a couple more for the Rhodes guitar that was featured in another video. If you haven't seen that one, go ahead and check that out. I think that could use it. And like I said, I do have plans on eventually upgrading to a brass block and some noiseless springs on this. So that brings me to the question of, is this product worth it, and should you get something like this yourself? I would say that depends on a few things. The first one being, if you're a new guitar player and you're just learning how to set up a Floyd Rose, then I would maybe stay away from it. I think your best bet would be to just get something, you know, if you're interested in this trem system, get something a little cheap. It doesn't have to be a Floyd 1000 original. It can just be a special, and kind of learn how to set these things up. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had friends drop guitars with Floyds off to me because they can't figure them out. And it's mostly just because they don't understand how the system actually works. Once you kind of get to know it, I mean, I can do string changes and tuning changes on these things in a couple minutes. It's not that big of a deal. And the second thing is, if you are strapped for cash, you're trying to just find certain mods that will really take a mediocre guitar. Now, this obviously is a high-end guitar, but if you're trying to take your mediocre guitar and up the level, I do think there are other things that maybe that money could be invested in, such as pickups, nuts, tuners, things like that. But if you're someone like me who just likes to take things to the extreme, mod everything out, you're looking for the best performance you can get out of your guitars, I would say 100% pick one of these things up. I mean, it's just cool. It works. It does exactly what it says it's going to do, and it makes string changes a breeze. Like I said, be able to lock that out and not have to put a block in there, it's just faster. And I like that, because most of us want to be playing guitar, not pissing with our guitars, changing strings. So yeah, I'd say... I'd say definitely go ahead and get you one. And all right, that's gonna do it for another video for this week. If you haven't already, please take the time, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really goes a long way, and I can't thank everybody who's been watching enough. I'm actually pretty surprised every week that I look and see how many people are checking my stuff out. I'm hoping to do one video like this every other week and one cover in between, as long as you guys want to see it. And until then, I'm going to try to keep getting things better and keep staying in contact with you guys. So until next time, stay metal.